let's try this all over again because I'm deleting that one. Okay, so today we're going to start, we're going to learn about Flipgrid. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And Flipgrid is a free application for everybody. It's not something that the district purchases or anything else. It is free to everybody. And it's just flipgrid.com. You can use your computer or you can use your cell phone to record this. That's actually something new. Until 2 months ago, you had to do all of your lessons on the computer, and then the students could record on a computer or an iPad. So I'm pretty excited that they already changed this before we started all this remote learning. If you go to educator login and you're not logged in, it will ask you to create an account. If you just do log in Google and do it with your email, it will create an account for you already with all of your information that is out there. I like that better than having to type all my information in. So the first thing I'm gonna tell you are the basics. The basics are my grids. My grids are actually classes. So these are all classes that I am a part of. So if you think of grids as classes, it's easier to remember what you're doing in each one. Inside of your grids are your assignments. So each grid, each class has an assignment that you can share. Every time you create a class, it automatically gives you this say hello. It will automatically come up. It will be the first one that it has you do for everyone. If you don't want this in a class, then you would just hit hidden. And now nobody can see it but you. You can also go to this pencil on the end and you can delete it over here on the bottom so it doesn't show up. There's pretty much anything that you want to do inside of here. Some of the things that I like about this is somebody else's, is that once they're in here, she actually added a video, or you can add your own video on what you want to do. You can add feedback, you can add replies, you can make your own video back to the person. So once you watch the video, you can do a reply, and it can be a video or a text that you can reply to the student. So giving them feedback is going to be very important. I think at this time, I think they're going to want to know that you're actually watching the stuff that they're turning into you. You can also add other teachers in your classes. These are called co-pilots. So if you're in a class and you want to add your special ed teacher, another teacher, anybody that you want to see this, you just pick who they are and you're just going to type their email. If they do not have a Flipgrid account, they need to create an account before you can add them as a co-pilot. It will not send them a message and say, please join Flipgrid. They have to already have an account to do this. So just a couple things that I want to share with you. Now you have all these nice little tabs at the top. My activity are all the things that I have done, and they give you little badges as you go along. My grids, again, are my classes. Mixtape, these are my favorite videos. You can actually add them in this mixtape and use them year after year as an example. So if your students are creating these and you want to show a best practice, you might want to save them in here and you can use them again or show them to your other students as best practice. Grid pals are people all over the United States that want to connect with you. I do not have my account active. I'm hidden. I just didn't put I don't know why I didn't put myself up there, but you just have to make sure your profile's up to date, and then you can go and activate that, and then people can reach out to you and you can connect and you can have your classes communicate. So if you wanted to communicate with somebody in California, you could send that teacher a message and your students could read to each other across the country. Or you could have them communicate about what the weather's like outside in Ohio compared to Arizona. You just have to connect with that educator in another area. And the whole world is actually on here. So if you make it smaller, it will start to load, and you'll see Australia and all kinds of, like, you can see Belgium at the top. So you can communicate with tons of other people all over the world if you decide you want them to go outside of their box. The library is amazing. These are topics that are already set up for you that you can steal at any time. You can also add one that you've created if you think it's really cool. So I love this brain dump, and I would probably steal it at some time. This one just happens to be about fractions, and the kids just record themselves and talk about every single thing they know about fractions. How do I add a fraction? How do I subtract a fraction? And there's all kinds of topics in here to give you information on different things. So like vocabulary, there already one in here. So here's a vocabulary lesson on area and perimeter, and it gives you the questions and things that you probably need to do. All I have to do is select the class or the grid that I want it to go to, and I hit add, and that goes right into my grids, and I don't even have to create it. So in Youngstown Rocks, I now have that area and perimeter on vocabulary, and there it is. There's the YouTube. And then you could have them, you might have to change the directions a little bit and give them some information. But I just want you to know, in the library, there is a ton of topics out there for you already, all ready to go. And then you can filter at the bottom by age level. So if I wanted elementary school and I wanted it for, let's see, do I have language arts? There we go. And then I say phonics. Here's all the lessons that are in there. You have to go in, you just check them out, and then you can just add them to your lesson, and your students will have to view these later. If you want, you can add this to a favorite. So if you like this, but you don't want to use it today, you can add it into your favorites. And at the top, one of your choices should be, where's it at? Where'd my favorites go? There was a tab at the top. They've moved something. We'll get back to that in a second. The last thing is the shorts, where you can record yourself, and it could be for whatever you want. It could be a prompt, it could be information, it could be a lesson, it could be anything that you want, and you can save it in here and use it at another time. Now, the one thing that I do like is that you have this board option, so I can make a whiteboard and I can actually write on here. So you could do a lesson where you're writing something on here and then record it. So that's an option too. And I believe that if I go in, I can get a PDF of whatever I want. And this just happens to be a picture. And this could be your, oops, can't be PDF. It has to be a PDF. You can put it in there and you can talk about that. And I'm going to show you an example of that, where we had some students in 8th grade. They were learning vocabulary. So they created the vocabulary, and you can see here's what they did. They just saved this. This was a Google Doc. They saved it as a PDF, and they put the picture up, and this was a vocabulary word. They put the directions. They said if it was a verb, and then they talked about what it was. So then they had to teach everybody what the vocabulary word was. So that was just an example also. So now we're going to start with the fun part, which is starting to actually use it and give assignments, which is a lot of fun. So create. So I'm going to go into this YCSD Rocks. This code right here is the code to my class. So if I wanted the students to go in and use this and see all the assignments, I could give them this code and they will automatically be in there. If I wanted them to just go into a certain one, then there's actually a certain code just for this Flipgrid, and they cannot see any of the other videos or assignments. So the one thing I'm going to start with is we're going to actually create a new grid. So I'm going to create a new class. So when I add a new grid and I give it a name, Trella Learning, I have some options down here. When we set it up for students, usually we use the student email. So that way they can only join if they use their student email. So if I click on that and I go down and I hit next, anybody with the Youngstown email, or I can add ycsd.org email, those are the only people that can get into this class, is if they have those two emails. If I decide I want it to be public because my students may or may not have their emails with them, if you make it public, then anybody can get into it. You can give a password if you want, so that way you're making it a little harder to get in, but basically it's open up to anybody that has an email can log in at any time. And I don't even think you need an email, you just need the code. You can also create IDs for your student. So if you have little ones that have a hard time and they don't know their school email, then you can go in and you can actually start to create, and you can upload this and you can put their first name and their last name, and then give that'll be their login, and now that's how your students will get in. So you can make it very easy for your students too, and that way it's still secure because they still have a student ID to get in. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create this class, and it's going to be for public right now. And I'm not going to require a password, so anybody with the code can join, and as long as they have a Google account, they can record. So, and this is, if you want to share it anytime, you can copy and paste this link. You can add it to your classroom, and it actually connects directly to your Remind. So you can click on your Remind and it will share this, and your students can go right into that class and see your assignments that you're giving, or your lessons. Like I said, the first thing that comes up is this say hello. This is always the first step that we ask people to do, because if you're having your students try this for the first time, you want them to learn how to use the technology the first time without worrying about content. Content is the second step. First time is, how do I use this platform? So they need a way to practice, but you're still getting some good information.
Hey,
With
Tiff,
your little pencil button, you can go in, and now I can decide how long do I want the record time to be. Depending on what kind of lesson that you want, you can decide how many minutes you want this to be. You have up to 5 or 10 minutes. It was 5 minutes. It's up to 10 minutes now. They've extended that. You may want more directions in here than what are there. Say hello, share a fact about yourself, tell me what you have been doing while you have been at home. Okay, so these are all the things that you want them to do. One of the things that I always do when I get down here is you have a status button. This video moderation right here, I always turn it on. I never share the videos with anybody until I have seen them. So I always turn on that video moderation button inside the directions. I also, you may decide, do you want your students to reply to each other? So once you allow them to see the videos, do you want them to make comments on other people's videos? I know Mr. Ellis had his class do that. Once they read the book, they were doing some critiquing, some tips on, you know, I didn't understand something, or this is a really good job. They had to do one positive and one thing that they thought that they could improve on. But that's up to you if you decide you want it to be them to have replies or not. You can also give this a freeze date and a launch date. So if you wanted to put this out there for it to automatically open up next Tuesday, you can schedule these ahead of time. You don't have to be on the computer at 8 o'clock in the morning making sure that this goes out, and then you can give it an end date. You can have it go all the way up until April 30th. It doesn't matter. But if you want to schedule these ahead of time, they will go out before the date that you set, or on the date that you set. So one of the things the kids love is that after they record, they are able to do a selfie at the end of the video. So they can either do a video to you or a selfie, or neither. It's one of my favorite things, because the selfie is what you see from the student when you're just looking at the page. So their selfie is actually their screenshot, and then it will go into the video that you want. And then you have all of these other things. I don't put view count. I don't want my students to see how many people have viewed their videos, because we don't need all that drama of, oh, 16 people looked at mine and 12 people looked at mine. The one thing that's great about this is the students always want to see what the other students are doing. So they will actually go in and want to look at all the other videos. So one of the great things is you have them doing something like teaching vocabulary that we did in 8th grade. All of the students watched everybody else's videos on vocabulary. Now, you couldn't even see the person in the video, but they listened to the video and they learned the vocabulary because they wanted to listen to everybody else in the class. That's the one great thing about this generation, is they will watch the craziest things that are out there that back in the day we would have been like, I don't want to watch you teaching. They love to watch videos. They will watch each other's teach things, and you. You can actually you can have the students add links. So if you have older students and they're doing something in Google Docs, you can allow them to add their Google Doc to their video with leaving this on right here, this tab. If you don't want them to add anything, you just go ahead and shut that off. If they don't even know how to add anything, you don't have to worry about it if you do leave it on. There is a video editing. If they have too much in, they can take some of it out. I don't like to have that on. I love to always tell them they have one shot to get it done. Now they can delete it and do it over again, but they have one shot to do the video, because as soon as you add that editing in, you got a whole mess going on. All they want to do is spend time editing, and sometimes that's not really good. At the bottom, they always have this feedback down here. We usually tell everybody just to do the basic feedback. It just talks about their performance and their content, and it's a 1 to 5. If you want to do custom feedback, then you would add what you want. Like, I want to know about mathematics. Did they talk about it? And you're going to give them so many points for doing that. But the basic feedback is pretty good because it still gives you a text box at the bottom in order for you to enter feedback for the student. And I'm going to hit update topic. I'm going to stop for a second. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. There's a question that says, if the students are sending us videos, do we have to have a special permission form for them?
No, this is between you and them. You are not posting them anywhere. This is private. So when you do that, that is for content that's going to be posted or shared or other people can see. And they are FERPA compliant. So this is not a platform where you have to worry about that being shared. That's why I said when you go into that pencil right here, you want to make sure, if you're worried about that, if you have a student that's not allowed to have their picture shared, you want to make sure that you have that video moderation turned on. Moderation, geez, oh man. Turned on. That way nobody else can see their videos except you. So you don't have to worry about it. Is there any other questions?
There's one more. It says, do we send it out through Remind?
Yes, you can. And you saw where when I was setting up the class, how you could send it out in Remind before you even get started. You can even take this code, you can copy this, and you can send this out in Remind also. So, and I love that this allows you right here to read. It reads for you what the directions are.
Welcome to Flipgrid.
So that little icon right here reads your directions to the students when they're on. And then they hit this little button to add their videos. And you can see it says moderated at the bottom, which means only the teacher can see the responses. If you do not have that moderated word right there, then as they record the videos, they show up and everybody else can see the videos that are being created. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, and we have one more question. Can you review the class code information again?
Class code information?
Mm-hmm.
So the class code, once you create it, is right here under the flip code. This will allow them to get into the whole class. So if I share this one in particular, each of your assignments will show up at the bottom. Now I only have one right now, so let me go into another one that has more than one. I think she does. If I click on hers and she goes down, That's the first assignment. Usually you can see, come on.
Right,
She might have the other one turned off.
Tiff, if you look where it says March 23 through 27.
I closed it.
Sorry.
No, that's not your fault. It was my fault. In Laudermill?
Yes.
Yeah.
You went into the one video.
This one?
It looks different than the way that you were in it before.
Well, I had them go to the class.
Oh, okay.
So if you click up here at the top, this takes you into the class. And usually it shows your assignments, but she may have had an end date on it.
If it says where it says March 23, 27.
Oh, I see. I'm
to
sorry.
the right. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like
These used to be lined up. Yeah. So here's her other assignment. So you can see both assignments. And if she has them open, then you can see the videos that other people have posted on here. Andrea, can you email Ada Hill? I think she's having some issues. It's coming up on I don't know if she's in here. I can't see. I'm not looking to see who's in here.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my grid and we're going to try this. So if you guys want to minimize your screen a little bit, you can do one of two things. You can put the code in at the top. It says flipgrid.com/Trella7584. Or you can do this QR code right here. So if you have your cell phone, you can put this on the board and they should be able to scan this QR code, or you can download it and send it home and they can get on. Now I can also send it to you on Remind. So I could do that and it will link to my Remind and I will send that out to students, or you can share it on Google Classroom. Either way, we don't have Microsoft, so that won't help. But if you want to type this in your computer so you can see what happens, and I'm going to show you what happens for the student. So if I know I need this Trella, oops, this is my code, Trella75. I got to write this down. See if it'll let me be a student. So here I am as a student. If I click and I hit log in with Google, like I said, it says you have to have a Gmail account. This is what your students will see. They need to allow their microphone and their camera. Once that happens, they're going to hit record. It will count down and you can start recording and you can put whatever you want. Hi, my name is Tiffany. If I wasn't here today, I would be on a beach in the Bahamas. And then I would hit pause. If you don't want people to see your face, that's where these stickers are. That's why you're going to see some of these icons where people are like, well, I don't want anybody to see me. Well, I don't want anybody to see my face. Well, you can be an emoji. You don't have to be anything else. You can also put at the top some text and say, you know, please follow the directions. You can put vocabulary words in here. You can add whatever you want. You can move this around on the screen. And then I'm going to hit next. I review my video. So the students would review their video and then they would hit next. And of course it says take a selfie. Again, a lot of the students will go in and they're like, yeah, I don't want anybody to see my face. So now I'm going to have glasses and all these other things. And like I said, this is one of the things that some of the teachers turn off because they get a little carried away when they get to this part of it. When I hit next, I can actually give it a title. I can change my name if I want. And I'm going to submit my video. Now you saw there was a blank box to put a link in. That's where if you were doing older grades and you wanted your students to add a Google Doc that they were talking about, add some information, that's what you could do. Now here's a link that the student can see. they can download the video and keep it. And this is something that you can turn off, or you can just download the selfie. When I hit complete, I can't right now see anybody else's videos. So as an educator, if I go back into I can see one topic, and now I have one video. And when I go in, here's my video. Over here, you're going to see it is hidden. It is hidden. So that way you can then play the video. Here's your rubric, and you can see it says ideas and performance. You close your eyes too much. You're getting a 3. You said too many times. Content, you didn't give me some of the feedback. And then you can actually write them a note in here, and you can email it to them. You just hit email feedback, and they will get it. Down here at the bottom, you can send a response to them. This is where I said at this time is where you might want to send some feedback to them. What's really cool is they have this little spark right here. If you have a student that gives you some amazing information, you can click that spark, and now it can be a new topic for your students to talk about. So if you were talking about information on the rainforest, and one of your students creates a video and asks some questions that weren't what you talked about, but you thought this is really good, I would love to hear what other students have to say on this topic. You can hit this spark, and it will create a new topic that you can use with their video. So the students would listen to somebody else's video, and then they can respond to that question or that information. So I think that that's a really cool thing that they've started, is that you can use another student's idea as a topic for your students to talk about. And you can start recording, and you can put whatever. Sorry, I thought somebody was asking a question. It was automatically playing. If you think this is really cool too, you can actually share this and allow other people to see this. So if you find something great and you're like, oh, I want my principal to see this, you can just copy it and email just this link to somebody and say, look how amazing this is. Look how great this is. And you can copy that link, paste it, and share it in an email. You have this mixtape, and this mixtape is what I was telling you about, where you can put it as your best practice. If you want to share it with somebody else and say, this is what your videos should look like, this is what your answers should look like, that's when you want to enter this video in the mixtape list that you can share from year to year. And again, you have your favorites at the top that you can get to. So do we have any questions about viewing a video that a student has uploaded before I move on?
No, I don't see anything.
Okay, one of the other cool things that you can do is that you don't have to put a co-teacher in your class, but if you're creating a grid on a topic and you would like somebody to add information that's an expert, you can add a guest, okay, into there where they can take this link and they can add a video for your students. So if you wanted the librarian to add a video that your students could see, this is where you would do that, is you would use this guest code, and then they could go in and create a video for your students that might be special. If you wanted to do a career day and have different people talk about their careers, this is where you would share that guest code, and each of them could add a video for your students to see if you wanted to share them. My screen is going crazy at the top. Are there some questions?
Go ahead, Rachel.
We will have to insist the older students use their real names when they name the video, or we will get names like Kid Capri. LOL.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about that if you if you create your class and force them to log in with their email. Even if they put a fake name, their email name does show up inside of there. So you won't have to worry about that. But yeah, unless you point it out, because I can tell you, we were at Williamson and this is the 8th graders, not a one of them you can see change their name. They never even thought about it. They didn't even pay any attention to that. They just went in and did their videos and didn't even pay attention to that at the end. So, but I mean, you can set that as a rule in your class. The norms in your class should be the norms that you carry over in other places. Now you can see that this is the 8th grade over at Williamson. We had to hide these videos because they kept going in and watching them over and over again. So, for some things it might be great. If your students are doing, vocabulary words and given lessons, you may want them to go in and watch it 500 times and not care. But I'm going to tell you, we were shocked at how many times the students were going back in and watching videos of the other students in the class. So I do just want you to be aware of that they will want to see videos of other people, and they want to see videos of you. Yes.
There's a comment that says good because on Kahoot they go a little crazy in some classes with the fake names.
Oh.
But you do have the option as a teacher to enter their names so that they have to log in as themselves, correct?
Yes. Well, they're going to have to log in with their email. If you set that up in the beginning, it's not an option. The name already carries over. So, and I can go into any of these videos also. Oh, I'm sorry. This one doesn't have it. It's this one down here. And you can edit this any way you want. So if they put a fake name in, you can go in and you can edit it and you can see the email and you can change the display. You have all of that after they're done also. So you have all the editing options for that student when they're done. So you can actually download the video if you want. You can download the selfie. You have all of these options inside your teacher account to do that with the students, which is pretty cool. The other thing that is really, and I keep saying, you can print these QR codes and share them and put them around the school. But I know that Mrs. Mitchell, and I'm just going to show you, her students made hello videos during parent-teacher conferences for their parents. When you print these QR codes and people scan them, if you use the app from Flipgrid, it actually makes it AR. Like it looks like the picture is hanging there in front of whatever you have as a background. It's really cool. So yeah, so just take advantage of those scan codes if you want. I heard that in a neighborhood, which is really crazy, in one of the developments over here at Poland, they actually have some scavengers hunts that they're doing. So you can imagine if you printed that QR code and put it over at McGuffey, or you shared it with the parents that are coming and the kids could print it and it was like a scavenger hunt. Go find a piece of paper in your house. And then they go find something else. Or you leave these QR codes on different things. Talk about the tree. Well, this is an oak tree. This has blah, 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 blah. And you can leave those QR codes. But that's just a really cool idea to use. So this was cute. But those are some things that they shared with the parents, and the parents got to see those, and they talked about their favorite subject and what they liked. And the parents were very receptive of that. So that's what, that was a 2nd grade teacher over at Williamson, which is another idea that somebody had out there. Let me look at my agenda. Do we have any more questions? Because I just want to make sure.
Not at the moment, but I did find where you can get your favorites in the disco library whenever you're
In the
ready to
disco
go.
library now.
So if you scroll down where it says, wait, right there, all those right above that, where it says yellow and it's my faves, featured disco playlist.
Oh, there it is. It used to be a tab at the top, but like I said, they've updated this recently. So yeah, there's my favorite. Made for me. Staying connected. There's a lot of ideas out here, so you don't have to feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. I am going to show you real quick. I'm going to make a new topic. And I'm just going to say, so I'm going to make one from scratch, and it's going to be like, let's say, tell me a story. And I'm going to give them 5 minutes to tell me a story. I would add some directions in here. Tell me about your favorite, oh geez, favorite book. Why did you like it? So this is going to be one of the really cool things that you can do. Here's the record a video. This is how that teacher created a video as directions. So she added a video. Hi, my favorite book is Are You There? It's Me, Margaret. So you can add your video, you do your next, you do your selfie, your directions are in there. Oops. Take a selfie. And then that will post in your directions for your students. So when I create my topic now, you can see at the top is your directions. That's where that video goes for them to answer your response at their question at the bottom. Now I still need to go back in once I do that, and I need to make sure that I turn that video moderation on. Once you create that video, sometimes you have to go back in and make sure that you do all of your options at the bottom that you want to have turned on, and update your topic before you send it out. So that's how she ended up getting her video in there as part of her directions. And once you're done with these, you can actually hide these from view. So if everybody does this and you don't want to see it anymore, you can actually go in and you can hide this topic so nobody can see it anymore once you're done. That doesn't mean the videos aren't still there. They are still there. They are just hidden. And if you have classes from year to year and you may want to save them, you might not want to delete them, you can actually, you should be able to, I thought you could hide the whole class. I think you can hide the whole class. So that way you don't have to worry about anything being added at a later time. Do we have any questions right now?
I don't see any.
So one of the things that they also tell you that you can do is that if you have multiple topics over here, you can move them around in the order that you want them. So when you're in here as a teacher, you can know which one you want them to work on at the top, which makes it easy for you. And then once you're in there, you can favorite these videos over here. So if you want to favorite these, this will stay at the top. Usually once you start to favorite them, they end up moving to the top, your favorites. See, it automatically pops to the top. So that way when you're introducing the people, they automatically show up at the top, and you can present those if you want to people. And you can see that these are all active, but this one is hidden. And this one was hidden because his microphone was not working. That's why we always tell everybody, make sure you do a practice, because you need to make sure the camera works. You need to make sure that microphone works and everything is working properly before you decide to grade somebody on their content.
Hey, Tiff, we do have a question now. Is there any way to set up a mock student account?
When you say mock, do you mean a practice? Because you can create as many classes as you want on here. So you can create, like this is a practice account for me right here. And if I don't want it anymore because I decide I don't need it, I just hit delete, and I want to delete everything that's in here, and it's no longer there. That would be a practice class for me. If you want to do a practice one, I'm not sure. Can somebody turn on the mic who was asking that question so I can, not sure.
She commented again, said yes, so I can play with it in the student view.
Oh, so if you're in a student, you can do that without even, you can make a real class as you saw. And when I go in to the class and I pick one of the assignments that I did, if I want to see how the students see it, when I click on it, do I have this hidden? Did I hide this? I don't think so. You should be able to see it, and I think it's because I don't have a student email. That's why it's not letting me in, because we decided we want only student emails for this one. And we didn't add teacher emails. Since then, we've added, it automatically defaults to the teacher email, and then you have to add the student email. And I'll show you that one more time. So if you add a new class, you can see it says school email. When I click on that and I hit next, see how it automatically defaults to my email? So now teachers are automatically added in here. And then you would have to add the student ycsd.org. Before December, this was blank. It didn't automatically default to the school email that you're using. So this is something new they've added too. So some of those older lessons I have out there won't let teachers in because it didn't default to your Youngstown City email. We only added this, a student could get in there. But you should be able to, if I click on this and then I click to the code and I log in with Google, and I can use my email account or whatever. This is the student view. So as soon as I click on that, this is the student view. This is what the students will see. And like I said, I love that if your parents or you have a younger student, they just click on this and it reads the directions to them if they hit the play button.
Watch the attached vocabulary video and discuss what you learned about area and perimeter. Watch the attached vocabulary.
Okay. Can't ask for anything nicer than that. So here's the video, and then they would go below, and this is not moderated. You can see this one doesn't say moderated because when I set it up, so that means if I create a video, everybody is going to be able to see it. So whatever video I put out there, by the time that I'm done and I do this video, you'll see, it's an awesome picture. Love when people catch you off guard, right? And you submit it. The difference is that, see, now it shows up. So this is what the students would see. So if you don't have this moderated, the videos just start lining up right here. And as they get done, they can see everybody's video that's out there. So this is what happens if it's not unmoderated. And 99% of the time, if you do this, the first 4 people that get done, everybody watches their videos, they get the answers they have, and then you find out all your videos are like the ones that were already submitted because they want to take everybody else's ideas. So that's why, you know, I always suggest that you hide them. You hide those. If I go into the pencil and I go down and I turn on, there it is, video moderation, turn it on to green, then they can't see everybody else's videos. So they can't steal their ideas that other people are putting up, depending on what you're asking for.
Okay, there's another question.
Okay.
Before we get there, can I add something?
Sure.
Myself will for a grid that I would use with students, I would use a school email. But for myself to be able to play as a student, I created a grid that was sign up by student ID, and then I created a student ID, like a fake student ID, and I signed in as a student with that, and then made fake student videos just to be able to see both sides. So that's an option.
Okay, and the question is, can you drag all the students' emails on the class you set up?
Drag them.
It says, can you drag over all the students' emails on the class you set up? As in, I'm thinking maybe she wants to add all the emails to it already.
So you can go to Illuminate and you can download an email list that's already there. If you download that email list, when you add a new grid, that would be that student ID. Okay, and hit next. You can actually upload the emails in here. The only thing that I want to say is you actually don't have to do that. If they already have a school email, it knows that they have it and puts them in. The student ID would be for younger students that don't know their email. So if they don't know their email, they don't need an email to get in. So if this is a student ID, and I'm just going to make this Tiffany, and I know some people with eSpark, they already have an ID that you've given them. Like it's their first name and their last initial. And I hit add. So now when I go in, they don't need to know their email and password. They can just do Tiffany's T. So when I go in and I want to do this as a student, it will ask me, I believe, your student ID. I can't see it. Let's see. There it is. And it lets me in with my name. I don't need to know my email. I don't need to do that Google step. You can actually create those with a username that they can get in. So if they know their eSpark name, I would go out and make one that says student ID and have them get in with a student ID that they already know. That would be your best bet for those younger kids. Just set it up with a student ID. My orange box at the top just keeps popping up. Is there another question?
No, there's nothing else at this time.
Oh, okay. I would definitely say the best way that, I was very excited to see that when you do these, you can share these using one click with the Remind in the Google Classroom. I would share it that way with whatever you're doing. If you're using Class Dojo, I would take the link at the top or the share button when you go to share. I would copy this and just put it in your dojo, and I would share it that way. So that would just be another way that you could share your topics with your students. And I'm going to see if you guys can actually see this. So let's see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm going to see. So I'm going to do, I have on my phone, and I'll show you. Let's see if you can see this. See the Flipgrid app that I have right here? If I click that, and I'm going to turn off my background because that's just way too much. So this is what it would look like for the kids. All they would have to do is tap on that and put in their name or that code. So the scanner at the bottom, if I click on that scan, it opens up your camera. And I'm going to go back to sharing for a hot minute. And if I scan one of these videos that are out here, so if I go to Mrs. Mitchell and I go to the Hello Parents and I go to the QR codes, if I take my camera and I scan that.
Hi, my favorite thing about school.
I can't show you because it's not behind me, so it stinks. But it will actually scan it and you can just view it that way also. So I just wanted you to know that the little app is probably one of the easiest ways for your students to get in there and use this. But they don't have to have it. If they can click on the link and they can click on that green, like I just did on my computer, your computer works also. They don't need to have a phone or an iPad to be able to do that. But this is one step. They just type that code in and it opens up and it allows them to record. Is there anything that, Rachel, you would like to add?
I don't think so. I think it's awesome. It was just yesterday that they upped the time to 10 minutes. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Very, very exciting. So that's just a short, basic getting to know this. They have now, right now, because of everything that's going on, they have this nice getting started guide at the very top, and they've actually created videos right here that get you right on. This is for you, and this is what the student would see. This one's only 48 seconds. Yours is 1:32, and they do have those step-by-step guides down at the bottom where if you have any questions, you can answer them there. But at any time, if you want to add myself or Rachel or Andrea as a co-pilot, because you feel like you're going to need some help, just go ahead and click on your class and add us as a co-pilot. We will help you the best that we can.
Also, if you have any questions at any point, again, you can watch this recording, but you can also contact any one of us at any time.
Yep. Do we have any more questions?
I don't see anything.
Well, thank you everybody for showing up. And I'm hoping to get back to you later today to let you know if this is going to count for credit in PD Express. Hope I'll have that answer for you. But if you need anything, just let us know. Thank you. So if you guys want to talk right now, you can.